So we already got our string straightened out. You can see here we've checked all of our fascias. We're all good. What we just did was we got a measurement from the peak right down to the edge of our fascia, since we know this is all straight and we know this wall is level and this side wall is level. And what we did was we hooked our tape at the very peak. We came down on a diagonal to 17 foot, which was really didn't mean anything other than that's just where that tail is right there. So we knew our run was 17 foot. Our rise here was 16, 10 and 9/16. Tapped that into my calculator and it gave me a measurement of 20. Do you remember what it was, Greg? 23, 10 and a half. Something like that. I think that was all right. So all we did was we measured down to this point right here, which is marked at 17 foot from that diagonal, and determined it to be exactly 23, 10 and a half. What we had to do was, you can see we've got these diagonal peak chains. We did have to move it about 1/8 of an inch. Now that should be square. We'll start running our steel. With the first sheet of steel, what we're always going to do is we're going to set it up at 1.5 inches on the leading siphon rib. This is the siphon rib. You can see it's got a unique rib here that's dug in. That way if water tries to come over the, I guess it's gonna come from this way and tries to go up in between the two ribs, it'll hit this siphon rib and work its way down out the bottom. And then we also go ahead and we check for 1.5 inches on this end. So that's going to determine that we're at least running perpendicular to our fascia. And then Greg also has it marked off up at the top exactly where it's supposed to be. So he's going to move his back and forward to make sure that I'm 1.5 inches on both sides. And I'll show you how that works. So when I'm putting the second sheet up, I'm gonna try to line up the two sheets to be perfect right here, because I already know that's 1.5 inches. Then I'm gonna take my tape measure and I'm gonna check the leading edge. There you go. I'm at 1.5 inches. So this one is good. I'm good to screw it. We'll find one that ain't right. Maybe. Maybe. It wasn't bad, dude. I got no complaint. I mean, went and seen Solo. Yeah, how? I liked it. I mean, it was wasn't what I was expecting. Huh?
Good or bad?
That was good. Yeah. I think I gotta watch it again.
Oh yeah. One of those.
No, there was a lot of twists and turns and, you know, stuff like that. But the ending was just like
one of them, like Avengers type?
No. So the second sheet in, we're about 1/16 of an inch away from 1.5 inches. So what I'm gonna have Greg do is he's gonna push the sheet forward just a little bit. Yep, right, nope, too much, Greg. Right about there. So what he just did was he moved the sheet forward just a little bit, because a little bit of movement up there is quite a bit of movement down here. So it doesn't require much, but basically he pushed that sheet forward, which brought this edge down. So as that went forward, this went down. That made it my 1.5 inch mark. Now I'm gonna go ahead and screw it. Usually I try to screw the whole bottom off. Then what Greg is going to do up there is he's going to move the sheet back to where it belongs. Since this roof is not really screwed off at all, there's actually enough movement in the building that we're using this locked in fascia and making the peak move in and out to where we want to go. Now, I don't want to make it sound too easy, but after you've done it a couple times and you get the building squared up like you like it, it's really not that hard. You go ahead and make sure that those lap joints, the ribs that lap over top of the last sheet, as long as those are lined up, and then you have whoever's up at the top push and pull the sheet so that your leading edge is at your 1.5 inch mark or whatever measurement you use, and then you screw it off and you move it back. If you're having to move it too much, then you've probably got an issue with your square. Go ahead and move your peak either, forward or back, or you got to check your walls for plumb and make sure that they're good. But usually that is the leading cause. You got to also remember with 8-foot-on centers on your fascia, there's a lot of ins and outs, so you're going to be constantly straightening those out with this method as well. It's not just to make sure the sheets are square, but it also is used to straighten out your fascia. Also, we like to run the whole roof, and then we'll go back and make sure it's screwed off. Now, a really good test as to whether or not your building is square, straight, plumb, all those good things is when you get to the other side of the roof and you start putting your steel on and it lines up perfectly where it should be and your dimension, your 1.5 inch off of your fascia is perfect. So as we run this roof out, we will know if they continue to run perfect at 1.5 inch, plus or minus a 32nd or something, we can always take that in or out just by moving the sheet back and forth. That's really how you know that you've done well with your layout and your framing side. Now, I'm sure there's a lot of stuff that I could still cover on how to roof and how to get it set up or how to run the sheets, but I kind of need you guys to drive that, because to me, some of the stuff seems rudimentary and easy, and I sometimes get ahead of myself and don't think about it. I don't record it. I don't, even think it's interesting or worth sharing, but that's where you guys come into play. I'm doing this, for you guys, the people that are following along. So if you're liking it, if it's something that you guys want more of, drop comments down below, give me the questions, and I'll do my best to get that content maybe in the next build series. So I appreciate it. Thanks for following along on this video, and definitely tune into the next one. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. I'd appreciate it. Go ahead and give me a thumbs up. YouTube likes that stuff, so it can share it with more people. So appreciate it. Have a good one, and put those comments down below so I can answer your guys' questions. Have a good one.